Hey everybody, Seth Campbell here, and welcome to the 75th episode of the Segue Says podcast. Hard to believe, isn't it? Well, since it's a bit of a milestone, I decided I wanted to do something special this week. Now, in all of the segues we've talked about so far, we've taken the songs pretty much in their original forms. Sometimes we'll change the key just to fit the segue, or I've already done it to fit my vocal range. Sometimes we've adjusted the tempo of one song just slightly so that the two songs are the same tempo, but apart from that, we've largely left them as the original artist, or the artist whose version we're concerned with, presented them to us. However, the next step in coming up with segues is being willing to rewrite songs for the sake of fitting a segue. And sometimes that's just done for a tease, sometimes it's done for a whole song. And I wanted to include a Bruce Hornsby song in this because, to me, he is the master of this particular technique. And I want to highlight an example just to show where I'm going with this and how drastic it really can be. Bruce has a song called White Wheel Limousine. It's off the Hot House album. It's a very up-tempo song. She walks into town in a long white gown. The band plays on with no one around. And the rice was gone 4 hours ago. And the white wheel limousine is standing alone, standing alone. And as you can hear, it's a fast song, minor key and everything, but in recent years, in live performances, after the last chorus, we'll break it down into this really slow progression of chords. And he'll cameo the lyrics of another song here, and there are a couple different songs he's done. I'm going to highlight Long Black Veil, which is a classic folk tune, made famous by the band, among others. Well, she walks these hills in a long black veil. She visits my grave as a cold wind's wail. Nobody knows and nobody sees. Nobody knows but me. Nobody knows but me. Now, if you already know Long Black Veil, your head is probably spinning right now, and you're thinking, that doesn't sound anything like the original Long Black Veil. You're exactly right. Bruce rewrote it completely, the original one, and I'm not actually sure that I have this entirely right because I like that version better, and I've actually added the verses to that version when I play it on my own. But the original version, something like this. Well, she walks these hills in a long black veil. She visits my grave as a cold wind's away. Nobody knows and nobody sees. Nobody knows but me. Completely different. So Bruce took major initiative and recreated a classic song to make a cameo in the middle of his own song. Now, I've done this on a few occasions, and trust me, it does not always work. Sometimes you try rewriting a song, or you start singing a song in a different style to fit in the middle of another song. Sometimes it's just a train wreck. That happens. But every now and then I've come up with one that I really like, and it so happens that I've got a Bruce Hornsby song that works in this fashion. Now, the Bruce Hornsby song is called A Night on the Town. And it's the title track from his third album, which was the last one he did with his original band, The Range. And we're going to put it in the middle of Golden Years by David Bowie. Now, Golden Years is actually the first song to be performed in this segue, but I'm going to focus on A Night on the Town because that is where most of the work has gone into this. The original version of Night on the Town was very blues rock, a lot of percussion sounds as well. A band and a willie went Want to get out on the road and everything is alright. Had to get away from the kids and the wives. But when I ran into some city boys who didn't walk just right, and the line was drawn for another showdown, like they'd always seen it done. And when the lights came up on the little woods town, there's an old man bathing had his son. Well, we're going out for a night on the town, going out for a smoke in the trees, going out for a night all the time, going out for a look and see. Said, do what your daddy told you. He said, I just ran out and did that. Ben and Willie went out one night. So very rhythm heavy, bluesy. You get the general idea. Now, this is a fairly malleable song, and Bruce has changed it many times over the years. He's done a bluegrass version with Ricky Skaggs. He's done a solo piano version that's on his Intersections album that is very complex, rewritten entirely. Well, Ben and Willie went out one night. Once I get out on the road, well, everything is alright. And the essence of it is the same, but beyond that, it sounds nothing like the original. Especially because he's got this crazy piano section in the middle. And I can't do all the crazy left-hand, two-hand independence that he does yet. I'm working on it. But this song, already being fairly malleable, helps. So that gives you perspective on the song that we've chosen to redo for the sake of this segue. And exactly how I rewrote it, I'll come back to in a moment, because first we need to look at Golden Years by David Bowie. This is one of his mid-era hits. It was on the Station to Station album, which I believe was the last one before his big move to Berlin when he did Low, Heroes, and Lodger. I'm not entirely positive if it was immediately before that, but it's right around that era. And much like Night on the Town, it's in a Mixolydian scale, and that's pretty much the only similarity. It's in F sharp as opposed to G, which the original of Night on the Town is, or D, which that other version I just showed you is. It's much sort of bouncier. Its overall tempo is faster. Now I learned this because it was a staple cover for the Brew. I'd known it because they performed it, and then for short amount of time when I was filling in for Chris on the main keyboards when he had an arm injury, we played this one a lot, so I've known it since then and I've been playing it myself. Now, it goes a little something like this. A lot of times people think this song is David Bowie trying to sound like Elvis. Golden years, wow, wow. Golden years, let me hear you say life's taking you nowhere. Angel, come on, get up, baby. Look at the stars, life's begun, and that's all warm and the days are young. Come on, get up, baby. Where's my baby lost its all? So I'm begging you, save a little soul. Of course, because it's David Bowie, the mad genius himself, that's sort of a verse, chorus 1, or chorus A, of verse, and there's a totally different type of chorus that comes later on. So there's verse, chorus A, verse, chorus B, etc. Now, you'll notice that during the verse sections, though, it's pretty much these two chords, F sharp, E, F sharp, E. With a little break for occasional fancy riffs. And the beauty of a song with a simple and repetitive chord progression is that it's really easy to jam over. And I think I've talked about this in the past, but sometimes these songs you could jam for, upwards 10, 20 minutes if you wanted to. Because there's so little that you need to keep consistent. Basically just having those two chords, or you could take it in a different direction. There's so little that you need to be faithful to still be part of the song. And so, in their heyday, the Brew could really jam. You know, they could play, as I said, songs for 10, 20 minutes. And when you've got something like this, it's really easy to improvise over. I remember one of my proudest moments of improvising came at a show with the Brew in, I want to say, Laconia, New Hampshire. At which point Chris was on backing guitars because of his arm injury, and I was on main keyboards, and we were jamming on this song. And out of the blue, I don't know what inspired this, I started playing the theme from Night Court. That great show from the late 80s, early 90s. I say remembers, I wasn't alive when it was on for the most part, but anyway. So you can see that there's plenty you could do in a situation like this. And I honestly don't remember exactly how I came up with this. I think it was just, playing this and, improvising vocally a little bit. For some reason I started singing this. Well, Ben and Willie went out one night. Once they get out on the road, well, everything is alright. And they get away from the kids and the wives. Well, they ran into some city boys and didn't walk just right. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. It's faster than the original. It's got more subdivisions. But it kind of works because of the Mixolydian scale and where the melody sits. And so I decided to try expanding it. So, okay, what would the chords be in this key? Line was drawn for another showdown, but they always seen it done. Okay, keep going with it and it works. And you get to the chorus, which is basically in the original, now for a night on the town, basically just holding over the root. So when you got a progression that's centered around the root and just has the flat 7 chord, again in a Mixolydian scale, it's not too different. But for some reason, I felt compelled to change up the melody a little bit here. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it's easier to sing rather than staying with the original. Going out for a night on the town, going out for a smoke in the trees, going out for a night on the town, going out for a look and see, which works. I ended up doing, basically taking the original Golden Years melody. Golden Years, wow, wow. So, going out for a night on the town, going out for a smoke in the trees, going out for a night on the town, going out for a look and see. Said, what made you go and do that? Will said, we were just having a little fun. Ben and Willie went out one night. And between the verses, you basically just go back to the jam section of Golden Years that you were doing. Green table down at the Midway Diner, where they rack up the balls for pool games and reputations are made. And green forest full of the oaks and the pines. And as you can see, the next verse just kicks in very smoothly. And because it's Bruce Hornsby and it's one of the songs he's done and he's changed a lot over the years, he's already come up with an infinite number of different ways to sing the melody. So finding one, or a melody pattern, any melody pattern with these words that would work over this particular type of groove was really easy. And basically, that's it. Your jam at the end of Golden Years. You improvise for a while, however you want. And then just start singing. Ben and Willie went out one night. Once you get out on the road, well, everything is alright. And you can easily just go back into golden years, because like I showed you, between the verses, you're still doing this. Flourished a bit at the end there, but you're still doing that progression. So at any point, you can just start singing golden years, why, why? Come on, get up, baby. Golden years, why, yeah. Come on, get up, baby. And then just end the way golden years ends. This is the way the brew ended it, actually, because originally it fades out. And there you have it. You just tack on a little more golden years to close it. Now, most of these segues where you rewrite the song, they're not exclusive to this, but most of them will probably take place inside long jams of other songs, like on White Wheeled Limousine, or like on this one. Now, I don't anticipate demonstrating many more of these rewrites, at least as part of the Segue Says podcast, because it's so open-ended. You could rewrite any song however you see fit to make this work. And as I said, some will be train wrecks, some will feel really seamless, and you just have to try to find out which it's going to be. But I did want to show one of these and explain the concept, because to anyone who is watching these podcasts and might want to do segues themselves, first of all, please do. I encourage you to do it. Feel free to steal any of these that you've seen. Do them in your own performances. That's the reason I put these up here. But I wanted to show this because I wanted to essentially give you the next step. When you've already done what you can with songs as they are, try taking a song, and you don't even have to do this for the sake of a segue, just for fun. I remember when I first saw Peter Gabriel perform with an orchestra, he'd rewritten songs, and so they sounded nothing like the original. His version of Paul Simon's Boy in the Bubble in particular. Look that one up, folks. You'll be stunned. Just remember thinking, it changed my perspective on songs. Like, okay, you can look at what's there already with the song, or you can look at what isn't there but could be. So if you were to say, I'm going to try to illustrate this. Take a song. Imagine it's made up of 100 pieces, blocks, puzzle pieces, bricks, whatever you want to call. And each one of those is a characteristic that makes that song what it is. Then push 50% of that. So take 50 of those puzzle pieces, push them to the side. Find new puzzle pieces to attach to the 50% you've kept. So if you keep the lyrics and the melody, find new chords. If you keep the chords, find a new melody and a new groove. Anything. And again, some will work, some won't. But for creative musicians, this as a mental exercise, I can't recommend it enough. I've had a lot of fun doing it. I know many others who have as well. And sometimes when you go to see Bruce Hornsby, you see him play a song completely differently. You say, wow, that's really cool. I wonder how he came up with that. Like, look at his version of Mandolin Rain, the original one, and then listen to the version on the Ricky Skaggs and Bruce Hornsby record. They bear no resemblance to each other whatsoever except for the lyrics. That's it. So give that a try. And when you get the feel of that, try one for the sake of a segue. Throw it in the middle of another song. You never know what you're going to come up with. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you've got some crazy ideas of your own stirring around in your head right now, so go try those out. I'll be back here next week. I will see you then.